There is this beautiful phrase, the limits of my language mean the limits of my world. In other words, we always think inside the box. And if we want to think outside the box, we need to go beyond the limits of our language. Interestingly, it's not only the problem that humans have. LLMs have similar issues. They have context. The longer the context becomes, the harder it is for them to come up with novel ideas. However, there is a way to fix it. The approach that I'm going to share with you today uses a knowledge graph as a map to represent your thinking. You can use this map to understand the territory, but to also see how you can escape beyond, how you can transcend this thought bubble that you find yourself in. In fact, this very graph that you see right now on your screen is everything that I said so far, visualized with the tool that I developed called Infranodus, where ideas are the nodes, and then if they co-occur together, they form clusters, and then you can quickly see a visual representation of what it is that have been said so far. In fact, you can see that there is these 4 different clusters here, and they're all talking about different things. So one of the most useful features of this graph is not that it shows you what we're thinking about, but that it gives a concrete physical shape to our thought that we can touch and that we can navigate. And the most interesting aspect of it is that it shows us the limits, the borders, the periphery of our knowledge. For example, look at this cluster here, the blue one, context limits. You see it's at the very limit of the graph. At its periphery, it's not so well connected to the rest. So if I focus on this cluster, I can actually develop some really interesting ideas that will go beyond the periphery of this thought bubble that I find myself in. You see, if I select all the different ideas that I mentioned and I click show context, I will see the statement where I was talking about that it's not only a problem of humans but also problems of LLMs and the context. So directly it makes me think, okay, I can actually connect everything I said so far to AI, to how this problem may have been resolved in the field of artificial intelligence, and make my discourse a bit more technical. So that will already allow me to jump outside the box that I had myself in when I was just talking about the limitations of the language. And what's good is that inside Infranodus you can actually do this automatically. You can select this cluster by just choosing it here, and then if you go to the AI module, you can choose a special mode that's called Transcend Selected Topic, and when you click that, what happens is that the built-in AI in Infranodus will send a request that will start from the cluster that you selected, but will attempt to transcend it and to go beyond the whole structure of the graph in order to come up with a novel idea. And here it says novelty doesn't appear when the box gets bigger. It appears when the box becomes permeable. A graph maps relations between known things, but the real leap starts when no stable relation exists yet. In noise, error, mistranslation, contradiction. This is actually a really interesting insight because it shows us that when you make errors, when you make mistakes, when there is noise, when there are contradictions, that's actually when you will start thinking outside of the box, because you will encounter ideas that you haven't thought of yet. And maybe, yes, some of them will be mistakes, but some of them can be lucky coincidences that will enable you to transcend your thought further and to come up with really novel insights that you wouldn't otherwise have. So that's a really good example of how you can actually think outside the box. You select these clusters or ideas at the periphery of the graph, select some nodes or maybe the topics that you want to explore, and then already just by looking at the graph you will get inspiration for how you can develop this thought. But if you want, you can use the built-in AI with this transcend mode and then have it generate the ideas for you. So that can be super useful. In fact, you can select some of the concepts you're interested in, and then you can use the special mode here that automatically transcends the structure of the graph. So it will root itself in the concepts that you selected, but it will not take the context of the graph into account, and then it will come up with some interesting idea. You can tell it to develop something, or you can also use one of the preset modes and, for example, ask it to generate a question that would link these concepts in an interesting way without taking the whole graph into account. So that would allow your thought to jump out from this box and extend to some other ideas and contexts that may be interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to demonstrate to you this approach. It's a very simple workflow, but very powerful. You can use it for ideation. Of course, now I just use it on my own text, but you can, with the same success, visualize results of Google patent search, for instance. If I'm interested, let's say, in AI agents, and I want to know what Google patents are saying on AI agents, I can simply select this mode here, and then it will visualize the patents from Google search results. And then in the same way, I can look at the smaller topics here, latent topics. And for example, I can see that there is something on sensing architecture, for instance. You see it's a peripheral cluster at the very edge. And in the same way, I select this mode here, Transcend select a topic, and it's going to generate an insight that will be rooted in this cluster, but that will attempt to go beyond the structure of the graph to connect it to some other interesting context. And usually the insights that it comes up with are really amazing. They're very good for ideation, for research, and for creative thinking. And I think you will find it super useful and exciting. If you want to try it out, you can do that on infranodos.com. The version that you see right now is going to go live this Monday. So if you create an account, in the next days you will be able to use it. In the meanwhile, you can also try it at keywordgraph.com, which already has the new version running. I will link in the description to the video. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below the video. It's very good if we talk, because then this video will be seen by more people. And of course, if you can subscribe to this channel, I will appreciate it as well. Thank you.